skills and competencies have been around for a very, very long time, and I don't claim to be the expert on it, but unfortunately what I have seen is that a lot of organisations have defined skills or have identified competencies. Unfortunately, they're not measurable, or they're not really the key things that the literature and research shows drives performance in an organisation and helps you identify true potential in individuals as they move up through the different kind of levels of work, based on a well-researched competency framework, and then figure out what they really look like for Connetics, not just today, but with a view to our 2030 strategy. What we've also done here is we haven't just looked at competencies in of themselves, we've then also broken them down into what's the knowledge that people need, what experience might they require, what attributes they have, and also the key skills that they need. And so we can use these in both our selection and our development processes. And by using them in selection, we can be much more confident that our development effort and spend will be realised, because we're working with the right latent potential in the individual. And as opposed to just having the knowledge and experience, we also know that they likely have the attributes and the base skills to be successful. While I've done quite a bit of work in this space, I'm certainly not an expert. And so when we decided to look at doing this at Connetics, we went through a process of identifying the best partner to do this work with, and we went through a pretty standard selection process and looked at a number of different providers in this area, and Deeper Signals stood out for us in quite a few ways. One is, the research base that they were working off was really solid, and also was simplified in a way that would make it really easy for us to implement, and was not overly layered or complex. What I also could see from where they were starting from is we could map whatever we built across multiple different other concepts, and also other approaches to identifying skills and capabilities. So we weren't completely pigeonholed into what we needed to do, but we were starting from a really good place. And then the other thing that I really liked about Deeper Signals is the platform that would then support us once we'd built our framework, and the fact that it was completely focused on the needs of the user, and also provided us directly with all the data that we could use, as opposed to us having to get that from Deeper Signals themselves, or having to work with Deeper Signals to do that, which means that we could build our own knowledge and expertise in that space. And we could also do our own research and measurement in our organisation to really drive value for Connetics. Building a competency model of not trying to get it complete for 450 people that work in our workforce, but actually we've come up with the foundation for it, and then look to see how we can implement it and test it before we really finish it off. And so one of the areas that we chose to test it in was in our apprenticeship recruitment, which is a really critical area for us. And of course, when you're looking at people who haven't had a career in the electrical industry, the markers that you would normally look at, even someone's CV or their experience, don't mean anything, because these people are completely new to the sector. And so by taking our competency model, which we call our ways of working, and building an assessment centre that really reflected assessing skills, also looking at attributes and personality factors along with cognitive assessment, we were much better able to identify people who would be successful as apprentices, which is vitally important based on the cost it is to train someone into a role, particularly when that training is 2 to 3 years long. And what we have seen in terms of an early win is we've seen a lot, basically we haven't seen any dropout from our program, where previously we had a 25% dropout from our apprenticeship program, which, while it's disheartening for the individual who came into the program, it's also a large cost for the organisation. And if we're looking at our talent pipeline, if we're losing people at the bottom, it's really hard to make sure that we have enough for what we need in 10 years' time. And in essence, we have to start oversourcing, which is not ideal for anybody. Yeah, so in terms of why it's important to use tools like Deeper Signals and a competency model to inform your selection decisions, whether that be for recruitment or promotion inside your organisation, and maybe not even for promotion, just for lateral moves that people might want to make as part of their career, and making sure that we're getting the right kind of people in the right roles for them, is that as humans, we're really, really poor at identifying potential, and often the things that we look for or we look at and assume that that means that this person will perform in the future are not the right things. So for instance, if we look at past performance, it's actually a really poor predictor of future performance, because that often we're asking people to go into different realms of either level or working in different ways that they may not be completely suited to, or they may not have had the opportunity to develop the skills that they need to be successful in it yet, and we need to actually create a stepping stone for them to be able to do that. The other thing is potential is not obvious. It's not something that you see when someone walks into a room. It's not something that you can always pick up from the kind of work that they currently do. And so you need another way of looking at that. And if we just look at one measure, if we just look at what experience they have, or we just look at what skills they have, or we just look at what their base traits are, that won't give us the whole story. But when we bring those three things together in a really meaningful way, we can make much better data-informed decisions, and we can get it right more often. I'm not saying we get it right perfectly, the science is not perfect, but the science is solid and we can get it right more often than not. And through that way, we can shift the people profile in an organisation towards what we need and what it needs for the future. And we know that it will drive performance and also engagement within our teams. What I love about working with Deeper Signals is their passion and their commitment to not just innovation, but to making this stuff really usable, simple and clear for people. And while they bring the science, they also bring, the angle around how can we make it so that the individual can take control of their own development and it's not centrally managed by a team. And if we can do that successfully, we can scale this much better than if we're reliant on a small core of experts, and even my team, to support people when we really need managers and individuals working together and being given all the information they need to put together really solid plans based on what we know actually really works. And also, in terms of HRD&Z, I was lucky enough to be awarded the HR Director of the Year, and we also received the award for HR Team of the Year for the work the team is doing. And I truly believe the reasons that we won these awards was not just because of the great work that the team did, but the fact that we partnered really well within the business to bring this work to life, and we balanced what we needed to do today with what we were trying to do at a broader strategy, and we are taking Connetics on that journey with us.